anyone? Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yardage. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people to bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Twisted Tuesday has begun. The upsets have begun. The chaos has begun on the Major League Baseball diamond. The home teams get punched in the mouth today by the visiting underdogs across the board as San Diego look to become the first home team to get the W in the first day of Major League Baseball postseason play. The Friars are currently up 3-0 right now. Michael King is pitching like a king tonight. The Atlanta Braves can't get anything going offensively. They do have 5 hits, but they're being shut out, and the party has started at Petco tonight. Tatis hit a 2-run shot early in a baseball game, and you know things are going your way. Tatis actually slipped in the batter's box, but he smoked the ball. He hit the ball so freaking hard, it didn't matter. And, we've been talking about San Diego for a couple of months now, so we're not just saying this. San Diego are a really, really, really dangerous baseball team, right? They could beat anybody, and, they're legitimate World Series contenders. I know, people are going to say this about every team after a win in the playoffs, and they haven't won the game yet. But San Diego have had success in the postseason before. They're as stacked as anybody. San Diego have a good combination of talent, atmosphere, right? Sometimes you can have a ton of talent, but it doesn't come together for you. You don't have good chemistry, and we saw that. People thought, they lost Soto, it's going to be over for them. They were super aggressive. They bring in Dylan Cease. San Diego's a dangerous baseball team and a well-run organization right now. And we've seen them beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in the playoffs before. And if they win this series, they play the Los Angeles Dodgers. Meanwhile, the New York Mets, speaking of dangerous, the New York Mets are like a college football team that, they have a bad defense and you score on them. But then they just take 2 seconds to score a touchdown on you after. They score quicker. This offense is freaking relentless, right? Just time and time again. How many times have we seen? Saw it against the Atlanta Braves where the Mets are down, and the next inning, man, they just come up and just absolutely crush the baseball. The Mets, also a dangerous team right now. But everybody's dangerous, and right now the Baltimore Orioles are dangerous to people that are Oriole fans and that are betting on the Baltimore Orioles. Last year, it didn't surprise me. And those of you with a memory would recall, we talked about it. I faded the Orioles in the playoffs last year. I remember it was against Texas, and they swept them. And I wasn't surprised. We cashed the tickets. A lot of people like Baltimore after the big year that they had. I thought there'd be more postseason ready today. And it's not like they got blown out of the game or anything like that. They lost 1-0. But there's not a lot of room for error in these mini series right now. Right? They're already facing elimination just like that. And we'll break it down as far as the numbers are concerned for tomorrow's elimination games already. Pretty crazy that we're already in the elimination territory as everybody else awaits on Saturday and Sunday right now. So it's 3-0 for San Diego. The in-game total is 5.5 in the game right now. As I stated, King has been like just super dominant tonight. We're into the bottom of the 6th right now. Tatis is up once again. Fernando Tatis Jr. For those of you who don't remember Fernando Tatis, as senior, St. Louis Cardinal, third baseman, and he was also on the Montreal Expos for quite a couple of years as well. This is off the top of my head. I could be crazy, but did Tatis, what did Tatis do? Did Tatis have 4 home runs and 4 at-bats? I want to say that he hit 2 grand slams in one game. Like Tatis had a couple of games where it was like, whoa, right? Like he wasn't as good as his son is, but he did have a couple of he had enough big time games where he made money. And I remember with the Expos after, he had like a phobia. I don't know if he got hit by a pitch. What was it? Like, it was a little while ago. For Fernando Tatis Sr., I think he got hit by a pitch and or he had like anxiety in the batter's box. Like he couldn't, he would freak out. Like, you know what I mean? He couldn't just comfortably stand up there at the plate. And I was like, man, this guy hit 2 grand slams in a game before. Baseball is a ruthless sport like that. We talked about that with Ellis Valentine. Ellis Valentine was a great right fielder with the Expos in the 70s going into the 80s. But he partied hard, right? He was one of the, he was great. He's not a Hall of Famer, but, he was one of those really, really Hall of really, really good players, like Ellis Valentine. But he was big-time prospect. Like, some people think, if his career didn't take the path that it did, he did a lot of coke. He had drug problems. And a lot of guys, that was the era in the 70s. Everybody was all doing rails. Remember, Tim Raines called nickname Rock. They used to joke. He used to slide head first so he wouldn't damage the coke in his back pocket. Right? So that was the league. But my whole point with Ellis Valentine, he told me this point blank too, was he got hit in the face with a pitch. And it broke his orbital bone, for real. It shattered his face. And he was one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to have a batting helmet with the football stuff. He was all protected. He only sort of had his eyes sticking out because they were yeah, dude, you can't get hit in the face again. So they created this helmet for him. And like he said, he goes, how the hell was I supposed to hit with that helmet on? And he admitted that he was paranoid after getting hit in the face with the ball. It happens, man. People think baseball is like T-ball or something. You're watching on TV. It's baseball is a kid's game. And, you played Little League Baseball. Yeah, when you played Little League Baseball, pitchers weren't throwing the ball 104 miles an hour. There's barely enough time to get out of the way. So you just sort of have to pray that the pitcher doesn't, lose control of the baseball. Man, that Miller dude on the Athletics, the guy's throwing, didn't he hit 106? It's almost like the Sid Finch Sports Illustrated, the April Fools, the April Fools pitcher. I think Mason, I got to look that up actually. Mason's last pitch in Oakland, he let it rip. It was the last pitch of the last home game. I think he hit. I'm pretty sure he hit a high 105, low. I think he hit 106. You remember in the All-Star game, he hit 104. So it's not impossible for him. The last pitch in Oakland where he just said, all right, this is the ultimate pitch of all pitches, that I'm going to let this son of a bitch rip. Man, that guy's scary. I wouldn't want to stand up in the box. Like, I'd rather get tackled in an NFL football game than face some of these baseball pitchers and stand in the box, point blank. WNBA basketball. I tell you what, we had a hell of a game tonight in New York between the Aces and the Liberty. They were going back and forth. It landed on the number when it was all said and done. Was it 78-74? Final score was a 4-point spread. So the Liberty take a 2-0 series lead. They're heading back to Vegas now. The Aces are definitely on the ropes. The Aces just missed too many makeable shots. And New York are just a little bit more dynamic than they are. It seems like New York are the team of destiny now. You know, they're basically an all-star team, a WNBA all-star team, the New York Liberty, to counter, they were put together to counter what the Aces were doing. And they're more stacked than the Aces are now. They just are. And like a lot of teams that have won a bunch of championships, they've won 2 in a row, the Aces are just up against it right now. It looks like it looks like they're going to lose this series, but are they going to get swept? I don't know. They're going back to Sin City. But a dangerous basketball team are the Minnesota Lynx. The Lynx lost game 1. We posted the pick on Twitter X, and we took the Minnesota Lynx minus 2.5 in the first half, and we laid 4 points with the Minnesota Lynx in this game. It's 26-22 right now, midway through the second quarter. Let's roll.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Dear Sports Rage, I am Morency. The pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. We got Major League Baseball postseason going on. Big drama in the WNBA semifinals, but we're now joined by a man that's got his eye on the NHL preseason. He's ready to go. We're dropping the puck for real in a couple of days in the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia. I don't know. They have like 13 different names in that country now. I'm going to go with the Czech Republic. I think they call it Czechia now, or Czechia.
Yeah,
some people call it Czechia.
Yeah.
Like the hipsters call it Czechia. People like, Like Gord Miller would be on. You're live from Czechia. Like, you know what I mean? It's the Czech Republic. Well, don't confuse people.
You're right. It's the Czech Republic. Okay, Dominic
Gord Miller,
the Czech Republic. That's the best.
Yeah, Gord Miller. Hi, I'm Gord Miller here. You know, the World Hockey Championships from Czechia. Like, yeah, Gord, we get it that you know it's Czechia now. All right, like, you know, doesn't it mean it's like Burma? Isn't it Myanmar now? But anyways, the Czech Republic. That's why they're starting the NHL season. We have the Devils and the Devils and the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But we got baseball going on right now, and it's been a dog's day today in a big time way. The road team has won all 3 games coming into tonight, but Michael King is pitching like a king tonight. Dominant performance on the hill. Atlanta's offense can't get anything going. We're into the 7th inning right now. It's a 3-0 game, so we might have our first favorite cash a ticket today. McKinnis, I'll throw it to you first. Any baseball action for you on this game tonight? You got the Braves, you got San Diego, over under, any action for you? Or you just been watching NHL preseason hockey tonight?
Gabe, I sprinkled on, I put a small bet on over 3.5 runs for the Padres and a small one on over 4.5. So that's not looking very good. I did cash a ticket earlier in the day in the over in the Mets game, but so far not looking great in the game we're currently involved in.
Nice call with the Mets over. I mean, I tell you what, this Mets offense is unbelievable right now. And I'm assuming Cam had a big day because you know he was going to bet on the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers and these underdogs. Yep. And we see this time and time again in baseball. It's the sport that it happens the most. Number one, it's the most even possible sport when you get to the playoffs. But you see it all the time. The teams that have been playing and like the teams that'll win these series are going to have the advantage going into the weekend against like the Yankees, Dodgers, and Phillies and everyone because they've been freaking off for 6 days now. And these guys have been playing like living a million lives and they're not fazed by anything. And the Mets right now playing with house money. Just rolled along. They're very, very potent offense. But, Cam, what about this game right now? San Diego. I did think San Diego was going to win this game tonight, but I thought the price was a little high. I ended up betting under 6.5 in-game right now. So it's 3-0. We'll see if we can hang on here. But what do you have in this game?
I have San Diego money line in a parlay. This is the final game of the parlay with the earlier Royals and Detroit. This is huge. I have San Diego -1.5, -2.5, and -3.5. I worry about the 3.5, but everything else I feel pretty good about. Great day today, Morency. I can't lie, though. I like the Brewers, but I did have the over, Kansas City to the under, and Detroit to the under. So a very good day in baseball, but I had the Milwaukee Brewers. I thought they'd beat the Mets today.
The only one that fully surprised me was Baltimore. Like I said, I've been saying a lot. Like, you know, last year I was down on Baltimore going into the playoffs. I expected them to just sort of be really ready today. They just couldn't hit the baseball. And now, you know, especially when you play at home in these series too, in these shortened series, it's also a disadvantage almost. It's like a problem. Like suddenly the crowd gets down and there's an atmosphere of failure in the air. And the road team just feast on it. And tomorrow, guys, we walk right into this where Houston are facing elimination, Baltimore facing elimination, Milwaukee facing elimination. I think Houston will be the ones that won't be panicked driving into the ballpark in the morning. You know, they've been through a lot over the years, but Baltimore, listen, I was wrong. I thought Baltimore could win this series 2-0, guys, but I have zero confidence in the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow, and I really wouldn't be surprised if the Kansas City Royals beat them at +135, Cam.
Read my mail, Gabe. I'm already going to take him. People are going to jump on Baltimore. I watched a lot of things happen today. First of all, the second half collapse. It's real. Rauchman is not the same player. He can't hit. Other guys in the lineup, like all their 8th and 9th hitters, the only guys getting slap singles. They took Ragans out of the game early on 80 pitches, and he was mowing guys down. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Kansas City? And their bullpen even shut Baltimore down, Gabe. Baltimore has a real problem. You called it last year. Texas swept them. I thought the extra year of experience could help, but right now, their crowd was so nervous, it just sank their ship. Exactly what you said. If they get off to a slow start tomorrow and the crowd gets antsy, imagine this, Kansas City takes them out. I will be betting the Royals tomorrow. I think they can win that game. And I agree with you on Houston. They'll bounce back, probably make it go the distance. And I think the Mets will take care of Milwaukee. But the one favorite that I have no faith in is the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I think the Orioles are going to be done tomorrow, McKinnis. And I do think the Astros will win and get back on track and send it to 3. But I also agree. I think the Mets, as hot as the Mets are right now, there's certain teams that, and Baltimore, you know what, McKinnis and Cam, it's, Baltimore, they remind me now, they remind me of the Toronto Blue Jays from a couple of years ago.
Kind of.
It's like, all right, now you guys, now you guys are good and you're young and, you're about to take over and, we're scared of the Blue Jays. And, how about this Baltimore team? And saying, the Jays would just fizzle out in the playoffs. Hey, great season, fizzled out. It's over within like 2 days, 1 day. It's like, all right, that's a wrap. We blew a 7-0 lead. It's over. And now Baltimore are walking into this trap. Yet McKinnis, I don't know what a good hockey team, since you're in hockey mode here, to compare it to. The Minnesota Wild, that's who they are. The Milwaukee Brewers are like that perennial team. They make the playoffs every year, and they get eliminated in the first round every year.
That's a good comparison. They're never a small market team.
They're never like a relevant, you know what I mean? They're a good, solid organization. They win their little 85, 90 games. They get in the playoffs and lose. They're the Minnesota Wild, McKinnis. I'm telling you. I think it's a good analogy.
Yes, it's fair.
Now, Michael King with 10 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid radio and television networks and many more apps, platforms, smart TVs, and everything else in between. Got the San Diego's up 3-0. Michael King was dominant tonight. And we've got the WNBA playoffs going on. So the New York Liberty knocked off the Las Vegas Aces tonight in New York. Very exciting ending to the basketball game. It came down to free throws and big time drama at the end. But the Aces just missed too many too many mid-range jump shots, and it just catches up to them. And New York just seemed to be on a mission. But we move on to the Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun. Minnesota are a dangerous team. They're the 2 seed. They had the second best record in the league this year in the WNBA. And a lot of people had them as sort of that team, right? It was like, yeah, the Aces are fading. The Liberty are the team to beat. But keep your eye on the Lynx. And another thing is, too, the Lynx give the Liberty a lot of problems. So the thought was, man, if the Lynx like play the Liberty in the finals, they could beat them. And all this hype about the Lynx, they lost game 1 to the Connecticut Sun on their home court. So they sort of find themselves in a must-win situation right now. So I took them in the first half. I took Minnesota minus 2.5 in the first half, and I took Minnesota minus 4 in the game. It's 32-27 right now for Minnesota with about $1.20 left in the first half. It's close. So it looks like this is going to come down to the wire. Connecticut just tossed an air ball, which I'm happy about. Andrew McKinnis and Cam Stewart in the house. Rick Saratella is going to join us. Loud Esmond in the house a little bit later on. So McKinnis, NFL football. I don't know how much you've taken a look at the card this week. Your Green Bay Packers take on the Los Angeles Rams. Packers are 3.5-point favorites. Flat start against the Vikings. They came on late. The missed field goals are a problem for the Packers, McKinnis. It angered me in the Brazil game, and it cost like the point spread because he missed the kick, and it set off. They ended up losing by 5 because of it. And once again, missing kicks, and at the end of the game, you're trying to come back, and you're down 9, and, you're down 2 scores because of the missed kicks. It was Love's first game back. How do you think the Packers do against the LA Rams this week?
You know what, Gabe? It was his first game back, and for that reason, people were excited. They're saying, hey, you know what? They got the job done without him. Now he's back. The party's going to keep on going. And I think that sometimes it's the opposite. You're rallying around the team when he's not there. He comes back. You kind of feel like you take that big exhale. And, of course, the Minnesota Vikings, wire to wire, get the job done against them. I feel like the Packers bounce back here in this game in particular. I like how they match up against the Rams. I think that the run game is going to be crucial, though. I think the Packers have to get that established early, open up the passing game, and let Jordan Love get back to what he does, and that's send the ball deep and make the right decisions like he always does. So to me, it's good for teams that face adversity early on. You mentioned the kicking, but looking at that Eagles game, that was hard to watch, the start of the season. Then they have a couple good games in a row. And then that eye-opener against the Vikings, I feel like they get the job done in this one. But I'll tell you, I got an ugly pick for you this week, Gabe. I don't even know how I'm going to explain this one, but I got an ugly one for you.
Oh, I'm listening.
Let me look and see if I could predict the ugly pick. Where's McKinnis going to go with this? The one I'm looking at, what I would say to the ugliest pick would be the Miami Dolphins, but that game as a whole is just a train wreck. Miami at New England, I can't predict where we're going to go here.
You like Carolina plus 4 against the Bears?
Cam's not going to be happy. That's my hint. Cam's not going to be happy. Oh, you like the
Giants against the Seahawks? So I lean that way as well. The Seahawks can cover big numbers at home. It's going to be a tight game. I think they'll win by like 3. So I have no problem with that.
6 points. So you like the New York Giants plus 6 against the Seattle Seahawks, McKinnis?
I'm not sure how often I'm going to like the New York Giants, Gabe. In fact, I probably won't even like them while I'm watching the bet. But this, to me, it's all about point spread ranges that I feel comfortable backing certain teams in. And to Cam's point, I either want the Seahawks in a really tight range where it's just practically pick them, or I want them as an underdog. Laying points like this, I'm not comfortable with it. I'd actually rather get the points with the Giants, and I feel like that's a good spot to look at. And how about Malik Neighbors? Should we just be taking his receiving yard prop every single week? At least Daniel Jones has someone to throw to now, guys. This is great.
Just to play devil's advocate, the Seahawks have covered both games at home in this price range. Right? So, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, think, it's not their spot. You want them in. But I get it. It was against Denver, who wasn't great, and it was against Miami. But now you get the Giants, who aren't great.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI, MRI, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. The Twisted Tuesday. So we've just gotten to the half right now in Minnesota. 36-30 for the Minnesota Lynx. So we cashed the ticket. Minus 2.5 first half. Laying 4 in the basketball game itself. Really, really low scoring. The total closed. And the first game was 73-70. So they only got to 143 points in the first game. And it's funny because the Las Vegas total tonight with New York was 163.5. So to put in context, it's a big difference. 152.5 was the total tonight with Connecticut, who are the best defensive team in the WNBA. So it's 139.5 right now. Really low scoring game. 36-30 at the half. For the record, the Lynx are currently laying 6.5. And as I stated, the total is 139.5. Minus 400 on the money line, plus 300 for the Connecticut Sun to come back. San Diego are still up 3-0 right now. We're in the top of the 8th inning. There's 2 out. The Braves do have a runner on first base. The in-game total is 3.5. And San Diego are minus 3.5 plus 290 right now if you think they're going to score a run. And the Braves are minus 400 at plus 3.5. All right, so we got a lot of sports going on. It's a great time of the year. You got WNBA, you got baseball playoffs. We were just talking NFL football. You got the Thursday nighter with the Bucks and the Falcons. College football is getting really cool. It's been a great year of college football, but the NHL, it's hard to believe they dropped the puck, guys, on Friday. So the regular season starts for 2 teams, and then on the 4th and the 5th, and then on the 8th, it starts for real on Tuesday. We have a bunch of games. So the NHL is starting in a couple of days. And if you're betting Sabre futures, you're betting Devils futures, you got to get these in. Division futures as well. The numbers will still be up, but they will change a little bit. So speaking of the division futures, I wanted to take a look at these and get Cam and McInnes's opinions. I've got some picks here that I like, and I think I think we got some value here. Actually, we're getting some nice plus money across the board in these divisions. So let's start off with the Atlantic division. The Florida Panthers are favorites at plus 210. The Toronto Maple Leafs plus 250 right now. The Tampa Bay Lightning are plus 450. Boston Bruins are plus 450. Red Wings 11-1. Senators 11-1. Sabres 13-1. Canadians 75 to 1. Cam, who, in your opinion, is going to win the Atlantic Division?
I don't want to sound like a jackass here, but I think the Leafs are going to win the division this year. I just think it's very important for them to do well. Craig Berube will have them ready to play. Florida, it's tough to go back to back. I think they'll be there. Tampa Bay is a little bit long at the tooth. I think the Leafs are a good team. People question their goaltending. I actually beg to differ. I think Stolarz is a steal as a backup goalie. I think he'll split time with Wall. I like what the Leafs are doing. Come playoff time, they'll probably lose, but I like them to win the division, Gabe.
McKinnis, what do you think about the Atlantic Division for betting purposes?
I do think that home ice is very important, as Cam mentioned there, for the Maple Leafs. But I'm actually going to throw out a team that I think still has one more kick at the can, and that's Tampa Bay. I think the Jake Gensel pickup, I still think they've got some great guys with Pointer and Kucherov and some of those guys that can get the job done. Let's not forget about Vasilevsky, guys. When's the last time Vasilevsky had this much of a vacation, had this much of an offseason? He's going to be healthy, he's going to be fresh, and this team's ready to roll. You look at the price we're going to get here on the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they're a team that people are sleeping on coming into this season, which sounds crazy to say based on what they've done over the last few years.
I agree, McKinnis, in the point that I think I like the Lightning point total to the over this year. I think a lot of people think like the sky has completely fallen on them. They decided to give Gensel the money instead of Steven Stamkos. They're changing their style a little bit, but Gensel's going to have a chip on his shoulder to prove that he's worth his money. He's fitting in nicely here. You've got one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the National Hockey League with Cooper to put this together. And from what I understand, too, they're going to play a little bit more defensive style. They're tightening things up. They did, you know what I mean? It's not going to be quite as free-flowing, but they want to tighten things up. Vasilevsky's much healthier right now. I think they are going to be a competitive. Listen, all these teams are good in this division, right? I mean, even every year people say, oh, Boston are going to take a step back, and, well, they don't. So, right? But I do think the Leafs, from a betting perspective, I don't disagree with your value with the Lightning, McKinnis, but the Leafs are regular season warriors. Berube is going to have them in, really, really focused and on a nightly basis. There's going to be much more intensity with this team. We'll see if they get burnt out, once the playoffs come. But I think the Panthers are like, like they're going to sort of be like the Lightning were over a couple of years. The Panthers will just be worried about about the playoffs. They're not going to be in a panic about, we're the 2 seed or the 3 seed. They played so much hockey over the years, the Panthers. They lost a lot on the back end. You're the champs. You lose a little bit of that hunger. You've been to the Cup 2 years in a row. It's got to catch up to them. Boston are sort of in the middle here right now. Still good, but I don't think they're going to win a division. And I think it just lines up. You get a nice plus 250 with the Leafs, McKinnis. I don't think it's bad.
I see 280.
Look, one thing I'm going to say about this is that I actually think the Maple Leafs are going to have more success than last year. I think they're going to win a round this year, maybe even more. But the whole Craig Berube thing, it all takes time. It's not going to magically happen. And there's the old saying, right? You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink. We got to find out if these horses are going to be able to drink what he's trying to sell them on. Right?
Well,
you
there'll
get
be
a new
some
coach,
players
you get
that
a new general manager.
You're
so
right.
It takes
There's
time.
going to be some players that do and don't.
The thing is, though, they've tried it every way, Gabe. They've tried it hard with Babcock. They went soft with Key. It's not up to the players anymore. This is the guy, and you're going to listen to him because you've tried every friggin' way, and nothing. You want to be nice to the guys. You want to bust their ass. You want to do whatever. Berube's an old school guy. It's time for these kids. You got to figure it out. You're going to listen to this guy. That's the way things are going to go.
And Tampa doesn't take nights off, Cam, right? Tampa will blow out the worst team in the league. Let's not forget about the Leafs lose to the Coyotes, or now the Utah. They lose to the Senators, the Habs. When's the last time you saw Kucherov take a night off? He loves to beat bad teams. He loves to beat the Canadians, my own team that I love and cheer for. That's the thing about the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think, guys. But I do think Berube is going to be great for them. I just don't know if it'll be in October, November. It's going to be in March and April where he really – I feel great about your Leafs. I do, Cam. I just don't know if it works right away.
Oh, I don't. I just think they're going to do okay.
I think they'll do well in the regular season, and anything can happen in the playoffs. But I do I do like Wall between the pipes, and they have a nice roster. So it's just got to come together for them. But it's a good point by McInnes. They have players that need to sort of change their overall habits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be hard, and because they're already successful playing the way that they are in their mind. So some guys will be in, some guys is going to be friction along the way, but it's a great price when you consider the talent that the Toronto Maple Leafs have, and you're getting this big plus money price for them. I don't think it's a bad bet. The Central, we'll get into it's going in alphabetical, but let's stay in the
Padres just scored again, Gabe. Home run, 4-0.
Right,
Yes.
4-0 San
There we
Diego.
go.
There's your run
There we
total
go.
bet.
There we go.
Metropolitan Division. This one's interesting, McInnes. You get the New Jersey Devils plus 180. The Canes are plus 210. The Rangers are plus 260. Islanders are plus 1,400. And I said last week how I really like the Islanders' point total over this year, over 91.5. They were 20, 12, and 4 with Patrick Waugh as their coach. But, the Devils, I'm not surprised. I don't know. I guess I am surprised. But sort of like last year, everybody hyped up the Devils so much, and I know they had injuries, but here we go again. They're hyping them up again. Like, okay, I think the Devils will be a good team. Now they have the former Leaf coach. Markstrom's their goalie. They've made improvements, right? They signed, they brought in defensemen. I get it. But I don't see why they should be the favorites in this division. We're going to pick on the other side.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Rick Saratella is going to step up in an interest. We got a lot of future talk on the show tonight. Talking NHL futures. We're getting ready to drop the puck. Rick Saratella will join me, and we're going to talk. We got a lot of Heisman future talk. That's the Heisman Trophy race is starting to get interesting right now near the midway part of it is actually the midway part of the college football season now. But NHL futures, and there's going to be different numbers. Like we put the number up on the screen. It could be in a different state. Like FanDuel, Ontario doesn't have the exact same numbers as FanDuel, New Jersey does. FanDuel New Jersey doesn't have the same numbers as FanDuel Colorado does, right? Like they do regionalize it. Like it's not like just one system. Like each state is sort of running their own, right? Running their own account. So you get different numbers, but it's all sort of ballpark here, you know. So, McKinnis, what do you think about the Devils and that division? You got the Rangers, the Devils, you got the Hurricanes. I think the Islanders are a dangerous team. I don't know about winning the division, but what are your thoughts on that division? Who's your winner?
I think it's the Devils. I think it's the Devils that win this division. And I think that when you look around, the team that you have to talk about that's going to be falling off, Gabe, you were talking about earlier with the Atlantic. People say every year the Boston Bruins are going to fall off. You know, a team that I've been high on for way too many years that never really did me anything good is the Carolina Hurricanes. And I think they're going to go downhill this year. You know, they lost guys. They're getting older.
Yeah.
I've given up. I'm tossing them out to the curb.
Yeah.
I'm done with them. You know what? This is a team that can only win. You know, they can only win games at home. You know, they don't have the game breakers. The Devils, to me, Gabe, are going to be a team that's going to tear up the regular season and they're going to choke come the playoffs again. They're only built tough from the back end. Their forwards aren't strong. You know, they do have a decent bottom six, though. And one thing I'll say is these guys don't have any egos. Maybe Hughes a little bit, but Meyer doesn't have an ego. Heischer, no ego. Palat, no ego. And also, one thing I'll say real quick is that you said Markstrom's not great. I agree with it. Allen is a decent backup. If you got him as your backup, he's decent. You know, you got a Markstrom-Allen tandem. I feel like those guys are going to win the Metro. And one thing is, look at the bottom half of that division. It's not very good. You know, they're going to collect some wins against those guys.
I agree with the Markstrom-Allen. It's almost... It's like the Vancouver weather in the winter. It's neutral. It's the same every day. Like there's not that much of a difference between the two of them.
It's
like
neutral.
You know what I mean?
That's the best.
No, it's true. Like it's just sort of like it's the same every day. Like it's
rainy and bleak.
Yeah, but like you know, the thing with Markstrom, and I've liked him, but you've got to ask yourself, and teams have to ask themselves, why is it he's on so many teams? Nobody ever wants to pay him. Right? I mean, the LA Kings brought him in. Oh, he'll be the savior for the Kings. The Kings were like, you know what? We went to the playoffs with him. We thought he was shaky. We're not paying him $5 million a year. And, you know, like whatever team he goes to, he doesn't, you know what I mean? The Calgary, he blamed, I want to be on a winner and stuff. He's good, but I like your point with Allen. I know there's a big drop-off. My deal with this is just with the Canes. I get what you're saying at some point, and now they don't have Gensel. They're still pretty stacked and loaded. They're extremely well coached. You just said it. There's bad teams in the division. They're going to rack up points. And we're talking about a hockey team that's had 110 or more points in 4 straight years, guys. So even if they drop off, like their point total is like 101, even if they drop off, I still think they're going to rack up a ton of points. But my point is, I don't think that there's betting value. I like your Tampa value. At least you can say, man, I'm getting plus 425, plus 450 just to win the division. Plus 180 on the Devils, it's a pretty big leap of faith, like that they're favorites.
I got plus 250.
I see some 250s out there. Yeah, it's big difference, Gabe. In the books, mine, I have a plus 230 and a plus 250 on one book too. So I don't know. These guys are skimming. Let's just remember one thing. The injuries that the Devils had were to their best players on the team. They have a guy, Jesper Bratt, who's a point-of-game guy. He got 83 freaking points last year. Nobody knows who the hell he is. And that's the thing. So they were doing it with so many guys that were like, you know, second liners, third line. And now they're bringing back all their studs. Half of their defense was banged up. You know what I mean? And now you got a tender. And Allen's a pretty good backup. So, yeah, you can make a case for the Devils. The thing about the Hurricanes, they're still going to be good, Gabe. And I think their tenders are good too. But, yeah, I don't know. Losing Gensel's going to hurt them, I think.
They're plus 220 in New Jersey, just for the record. The Devils in Jersey at FanDuel, New Jersey are plus 220. The Canes are plus 260. Rangers are plus 290. And the Islanders are 10-1. So like you said, the future markets are really all over the place at different states, different provinces, different sports books. I couldn't bet the Devils. I'm not in love with the Canes. If I had to pick a winner in this division, I'll say that the Carolina Hurricanes win. Hell, even the New York Rangers could win the division. But we're here to like give betting value. So for what I think is value, and I could live with the Leafs as value, I don't see any value in that division. The Pacific Division.
Gabe, From betting perspective, talking about value, I think from a side standpoint, people are going to be able to cash underdog tickets this year on the Washington Capitals. So they're 15-1 to win the division. Forget about that. They're going to be an under machine again, and they're also going to be an underdog cashing machine. So I did say the division's kind of bad at the bottom, but I actually do have hope, and it pains me to say it as an East Coaster, that the Ovechkin and the Capitals are going to be way better than Crosby and the Penguins this year. So I will say that's one value piece we can recommend to people. I think the Capitals will be a live dog some nights.
Interesting. Yeah, the Penguins are the same. So, I mean, yeah, right. We'll see. The Capitals actually do have some younger players. The problem with the Capitals, they get caught up in this Ovechkin stuff too much, right? They've got to just sort of say, all right, fine. He's on the team. He's going to get, let him get this stupid record, and this is what it's all about for him. But it can't just be, we're not selling tickets around this. We need to, build a team up for the future as well. So I hear where you're going with that. But the Pacific Division, interesting odds here. So this is seeing plus 120. I'm going to look at multiple spots. The Oilers are like plus 100 to plus 120. This is interesting. Vegas Golden Knights plus 330. Vancouver Canucks plus 440. At a book I'm betting on, I think they're profiling me because the Vancouver Canucks are plus 300.
Oh,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's
I'm looking
not
at
right.
I'm looking at Bet365 here. They have the Oilers plus 100. FanDuel, New Jersey has the Oilers plus 120. They got the Vancouver Canucks plus 40.
You're being told
plus 300.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI, MRI, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Rick Saratella will step up and in a couple of minutes. We got a loud Esmond in the house, so we got a lot of football talk in the last hour of the show. So the Pacific Division, the Oilers have been big favorites. We're talking about a discrepancy in the numbers here. And I think the Oilers are the team to beat. They're probably going to win the Stanley Cup this year. But you look at this division, I don't think Vegas are as good. We talked about it last week, McKinnis. I said how I like Vegas under 98.5 points this year. The Kings are the Kings. They're just sort of spinning their wheels. the Kraken, the Flames blow, the Ducks, the Sharks, etc. So you really look at this division, and is it a 3-team race? I'm not sure it is. I think it's more of a 2-team race. It's the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. And depending on your book, I mean, I'm seeing as high as plus 440 for a team as good as the Vancouver Canucks are to win a division. To me, that's value, McInnes.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, the word value is if we take plus 120 on the Oilers right now and they're minus 200 at Christmas, that's value, And I think the Oilers, barring any injuries, they're going to win the division. But I can't argue with you what the Vancouver Canucks did last year. They're only going to build on it. But let's not forget, guys, we have to all remember what happened to the Oilers before they fired their head coach. Right? They were like last place in the whole conference almost, and they willed their way back, and they still were up there in the division. So barring
you think
any
the Oilers, sort of like
look,
the Panthers and these teams, it's about winning the cup. A lot of times they're not obsessed with the regular season as much. It's about the big picture. If you just think, the Oilers are going to be so pissed, they're going to go 65-15 or something and just kill everybody all year. I don't know. I think that it's still going to be a battle for them through the regular season because it's all going to be about the cup, bro. You know what I mean? It's not about the division for them.
Yeah. Why are the Kings?
Are they going to go on a 3-10 run? 3-15?
They should be 10-1.
Yeah.
The Kings are.
I don't know, but you're right about
the Canucks. That's ridiculous to me. Canucks are bad. What are the Kings doing?
No, but you weren't talking about the Oilers. I'm just saying the Oilers, though. You're right, McInnes. I don't think. Are they going to have one of those 3-13 runs? Also, though, are they going to win 16 games in a row too? Which they did.
Right.
That's true.
yeah. True.
So you know what I mean? It goes both ways. It balances out. I don't disagree. I think the Oilers are freaking good, but let's say the Oilers have 110 points or something. I think the Canucks will have 104 or 106. I don't think there's going to be this big discrepancy in the regular season. And the Canucks are going to be the ones to sort of be obsessed with keeping up with them. They play again to start the season. Remember last year, the Canucks blew them out 2 times.
8-1.
They played twice in a span of a week, and they beat them twice to get the year going. Edmonton's already got it circled. Now they got this playoff rivalry going from last year. There's bad blood. And we should note, the Canucks do sort of have they got a lot of injuries. They got a goaltending situation. Demko's nowhere near to being ready. Dakota Joshua's got problems. The Canucks, it's a fragile situation. They're kind of an older team too. They got a lot of guys in their 30s and stuff that you got to sort of concern about. All right, McKids, before we get you out of here, Colorado and Dallas. What about that division? Who do you think wins that division?
I think Colorado goes to the Stanley Cup Finals this year. So I'm taking Colorado to win that division.
Colorado plus,
I think,
they are the second choice after Dallas. They're plus 220, and they are, let me see. See, that's what I'm saying. About profiling. They know. Bet365 has bad numbers for the Canadian hockey teams, just point blank. Right? They don't look at the numbers here for the Avalanche and the Stars. They're exact same. Plus 220, plus 230. The Canadian teams, they always just have a different number. The Jets are 7-1 here. So you think the Colorado Avalanche plus 220 to win the division, McKinnon. And you got them to win the Stanley Cup, you say?
Yeah, I just think, Gabe, you talk about teams, getting that rest and, going at it for so many years, going to the conference final, going here, going there. Since they won the cup, it hasn't been rainbows and sunshines for them. But I feel like sometimes that can be good to build up that hunger again. And I feel like they did a good job of adding to their bottom six. Val Nichushkin's back. Hopefully, everything's okay with him now. They got Casey Middlestat full year with him. They still have a really, really talented defensive pairing core. If they stay healthy, they're a team that I'm looking forward to really, really go off in the Western Conference. When everyone's talking about the Oilers, I'll be talking about the Avalanche.
You always talk about the Avalanche. You're an Avalanche homer because Nate McKinnon's from your hometown.
I don't pick them to win the cup every year. I don't pick them to win the cup every year.
You're an Avalanche homer. Give me the Predators plus 460, those nasty Predators.
No way. Hey, guys, Stan Peters this weekend. Stan Peters.
Stan Peters. All right, McKinnon.
Oh, there we go.
It's BC.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI, MRI, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the Rick Saratellas, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. We've got a ton of stuff to break down and unpack. So let's get right down to business. The founder of the NFL Draft Bible, AllAccessFootball.com, a scout with the Edmonton Elks in the CFL. Rick, it's always a pleasure, my man. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us.
Hey, man. Love chopping it up, talking football with Gabriel Morency. Let's go.
I've really enjoyed this year's college football season, man. Every Friday night and Saturday night, we've got these wild endings and great games. Washington State and San Jose State, the Miami, Virginia Tech game, Georgia and Alabama. You and I talked about Shedeur Sanders and the Hail Mary and the Colorado Buffaloes. And don't look now, the Colorado Buffaloes go on the road into Central Florida and win outright easily as 12.5-point road underdogs. And I tell you, Rick, last year, nobody can deny Colorado got over-pressed up. They got overhyped up. The national media went crazy for Deion Sanders. They weren't a very good football team, and they were on TV every week. And people enjoyed kicking them when they were down. People liked the criticism. And, oh, they're overhyped. Deion's terrible. This thing's a train wreck. Well, here they are right now with a 4-1 record. I don't really hear, like the apologies aren't as loud as the criticisms are. I caught on, Rick, after the Colorado State game. And I was like, they just played a perfect game of football, right? They stopped the run. They protected the quarterback. Like, they did everything that they have problems doing. And a lot of people said to me, oh, well, that's just against Colorado State. They survive against a good Baylor football team on the Hail Mary, and then they just sort of systematically put it together on the road. And Shedeur Sanders is great, but where I'm going with this is Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. And I think it's almost being held against him. He's on Colorado now, Rick. You're telling me if Travis Hunter wasn't on Alabama right now, they want to build a statue for the 17-year-old kid because he made one play. You look at the hype that players get. To me, Travis Hunter should be the freaking front runner for the Heisman Trophy right now.
There's no question about it, Gabe. Not only is he the front runner for the Heisman Trophy, he's also my number one player for the NFL draft big board coming up in April. What he's done is historic. And you're right. If this was a winning top 10 program, like Colorado used to be at one time. There's no doubt about it. He would be the hands down favorite. And I'd be curious to know, like, has there been a Heisman Trophy winner on an unranked team? I'd like to know. But this guy plays 130 snaps.
Yeah, but at this rate, they're
game.
going. At this rate, they're going to be in the mix. Like they have a bye week. They get K-State next at home. They could beat K-State. I mean, it's starting to, I understand you're not going to, you don't give, it's hard to give the Heisman to a player on a 6-6 football team, but this season's starting to come together, and you can give the Heisman to a guy who's 9-3 and 10-2. I'll tell you that.
Well, let's see how it goes. They were 3-0 last year, and then the wheels came off. So I think that's why you saw kind of Vegas doesn't know how to match the odds against this team. I mean, they're way off the mark every week, it feels like, with this Colorado football team.
Oh, you don't know what you're going to get. That is true, right? You're like, they could be good. Right. You don't, we're still figuring that out. I don't dispute that, but I'm buying in. I've been making money off them over the last couple of weeks. I watch every game. And I don't live in the past. I sort of see, all right, where's this team going right now? And one thing I'll say, though, Rick, I think the Pac-12 was a massively underrated conference. I think the Big 12 is easier right now for them. And that's another thing. We see BYU aren't having a problem here. Right? Oh, BYU going to the Big 12. They're punching these teams. They smoke Kansas State. Oh, Avery Johnson, they murdered them. Right? So I think they had a harder time, bro. Look at the teams they had to play. The USC Trojans, the Oregon Ducks, like they had to play real teams in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was underrated, in my opinion, bro. Look at the teams now. They're all doing well in the new conferences.
Yeah, the Pac-12 was a gauntlet last year. Also, I like this Will Shepherd that came over from Vanderbilt, the wide receiver, to go along with Horn and Hunter. So they got some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. But Hunter is a spark plug. And we saw last year, Hunter went down to injury and the Buffaloes kind of went by the wayside. So, again, as long as Hunter stays healthy, Shedeur Sanders, I mean, like, let's give this man some credit. The offensive line is Lugats over there. I mean, this guy has no time to throw. He's tough. He throws off platform. I'm not as high on Shedeur Sanders in terms of his NFL draft prospects as I am Travis Hunter. In fact, Jalen Milroe, for me, is now the number one quarterback for the upcoming draft. We can talk about that. But to me, Hunter, hands down Heisman, hands down number one player in the NFL draft, hands down most exciting player on the planet.
I'm seeing a plus 700, although I'm getting a very good number right now for Travis Hunter. There seems to be a lot lower numbers across the board, depending on what state you're in. This is the era we're in right now. A lot of times point spreads will be the same, but when you get into this sort of stuff, the Heisman, there'll be different numbers out there. Listen, I was, check the tape, everybody. A lot of people laughed at me. I said Jalen Milroe is going to be a big star. He's going to be a top 10 draft pick. You're saying you have number one right now as your top-rated quarterback, and especially with Kalen DeBoer coming in here, what a difference it would make. We saw what he did with Michael Penix. But like you said, there's still a lot of football left. But that was my preseason Heisman Trophy prediction, Jalen Milroe. Right now, but if I was voting, if I had a vote, I'd vote for Travis Hunter right now. The guy plays basically every snap of the game on both sides of the football. And he plays with a passion. He plays with a heart. He makes plays on both sides of the ball. There's nothing not to love about this kid. Travis Hunter, to me, is the best player in college football right now. But, Rick, I tell you what, this UNLV story was something else last week with Sluka, the NIL stuff. And then they go out there and they hang 59 effing points on Fresno, bro. And I'm thinking, what a game and a collision course we could potentially have with Boise State and UNLV coming up. This Boise State team is good, Rick. And, one of the reasons why they're really good is Ashton Genty. Talk to me about this running back because, he's the best running back I've seen play this year. I'm a big Mullings guy and a Michigan fan, but Genty, this he has it all. He's got power. He's got speed. He's got vision. He's a one-man wrecking crew, Rick.
He's really, really good. He's about 5'9", 210 pounds, highly rated by the national services around the National Football League in terms of the preseason. But you pop on the film, This guy has burst. He has vision. He has acceleration. He can stop on a dime, change direction, break tackles, great elusiveness in the open field. I mean, this guy's a first-round pick. That Boise State football team is racking up points. Now, you talk about the Heisman Trophy voting, Gabe. I think part of the issue is, first of all, they give everybody and their mama a vote. There's about 800 Heisman voters. Second of all, nobody knows what the interpretation of the Heisman Trophy winner is supposed to be. To me, it's the best player in college football, but it has become the most valuable quarterback on the most winning program.
Like the MVP of the
Derrick
NFL.
Henry, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry are kind of the recent running back, but they played on a national champion Alabama team. Can a mid-major running back really, there was a running back from Indiana, I think, back in the day.
He'll be lucky to get an invite. You're right. That'll be as good as it gets for Genty. Maybe he gets a trip to New York, right? Yeah. Maybe he gets him, because you're right. Like, they're just Boise State. But I bring it up, though, because Boise State, to me, and I love what UNLV are doing, but his Boise State team nearly knocked off the Ducks, guys. It looks like, to me, Boise State are going to be that playoff team. Ashton Genty,
Barry
10
Odom
to
now,
1.
Listen. Barry Odom is got those running Rebels playing some good ball. I think they're going to beat down Syracuse this Friday night. Keep a lookout for that one.
This is unbelievable. This UNLV story is unbelievable. And running Rebels, they better pay Barry Odom a lot of money. Otherwise, he's going to be running. he's going to be a running rebel.
NIL.
He's going to be a running rebel to another bigger school like Sluka.
Right? He's looking for that NIL.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it with Rick Saratella right now. Man, time just flies when we talk football with Rick. All right, Rick, NFL draft pick, first overall choice numbers right now. Carson Beck, despite the loss to Alabama, is still the favorite to be the number one pick in the draft at plus 400. Quinn Ewers is in the 7-1 range, and all these numbers are subjective to what state you're in. There really is a difference with this stuff. Shedeur Sanders, 7-1 to be the number one pick in the draft. Travis Hunter, 9-1. So 2 buffs right up there in the top 4 picks selections here. Cam Ward, 10-1. James Pierce, the defensive lineman, guys with the Tennessee Volunteers, is 10-1. Jalen Milroe is 12-1 to be the top pick in the draft. I never bought into Carson Beck to be the top pick in the draft, and I certainly don't think Quinn Ewers is going to be the top pick in the draft. No disrespect to Quinn. He's getting drafted, but I don't think he's the number one pick in the NFL draft. Let's not get crazy. I don't think it's insane as Shedeur Sanders is. You've got Jalen Milroe, though, right now as your ranked number one, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating because, we just watched Milroe and Beck go head-to-head, and to me, Jalen Milroe was the more impressive quarterback. I don't know how somebody wake up Rip Van Winkle, the odds maker in Vegas. He fell asleep down there at Fremont Street, a little bit too much Everclear over there in front of the slushy stand. What are we doing? Are we sleeping on the odds? But Travis Hunter, to me, I searched high, I searched low, north, south, east, west. I can't find a better player in the country. I just can't imagine. I can't believe the odds that you can get on Travis Hunter. If it's a quarterback, to me, I haven't seen a better quarterback this year than Jalen Milroe. And if it's, I don't know, is Travis Hunter a defensive player? If he's not, well, then James Pierce, Mason Graham, Will Johnson, I think is at least in consideration at this point.
Yeah, it would be, I'm fascinated to see what they do actually with this once we start to get the numbers up of first defensive player taken, offensive player, first non-quarterback, etc. What are they going to list Travis Hunter as at the sports books? So those are the updated NFL draft odds. So speaking of the NFL, the season is rolling along. We're 1 month in. Buying or selling? I've been asking people this. The Washington Commanders, do you think they can win the division this year?
Yes, and that's contingent on the health of Jaden Daniels. I think this is one of the best stories in the National Football League. He's basically turned this franchise around in just one season. We saw it last year with C.J. Stroud. We're seeing it this year with Jaden Daniels. This is a team, I'll tell you what, if they get into the playoffs, Gabe, this is a team nobody's going to want to play. Jaden Daniels is a legitimate dual-threat quarterback. They can play defense down there in D.C., and quite frankly, the Eagles are not that serious of a contender, in my opinion. Dallas doesn't have it together, and the Giants are a train wreck. So I can see Washington winning this division.
Yeah, I don't like to get carried away either. And I know they've got some work to do on the defensive side of the football, although their defense played well against Arizona. So we got to tip our cap for that. But offensively, and Cliff Kingsbury just doing a great job. It's a great mix. Everything's just come together for them, right? With Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, Quinn running the team, running the defense. Quinn, smart enough to bring in a smart guy like Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury and Daniels are working out perfectly together. McLaurin is happy. Like, you can just sort of see this is, they're having fun showing up to work, so to speak. And I tell you what, they got to really, I'm with you. Micah Parsons is hurt right now. The Cowboys are okay, whatever. Right, and the Philadelphia Eagles, bro. I don't know, Sirianni, it's going to be last year for Sirianni, the way things are going there. You mentioned the Giants. I agree with you. I don't take the Giants seriously. So I personally am taking the Commanders seriously for the division, Rick.
Yeah, and, I think also let's give Dan Quinn, the pride of Morristown, New Jersey, by the way, a little bit of credit here because he's been to a Super Bowl. He's been a previous head coach. He went back to being a coordinator. He did his time. He learned and took from being a previous head coach. Raheem Morris, same deal. But Dan Quinn has learned, and he's now progressed and developed as a head coach. And I'll tell you what, we were talking to Sam, I think, behind the scenes, Devontae Adams requesting a trade. Is there a better ideal landing spot right now other than the Jets than the Washington Commanders? That would be an ideal fit. Devontae and DC.
And if you're the Raiders, you don't want to trade him in the AFC, right? You'd be, right. I think you would rather, sure, Washington, sure, whatever. You know what I mean? Some other team in the NFC that wants to bring him in. So speaking of the New York Jets, and the Adams to the Jet stuff is definitely going to be in play, but I don't know. The Jets are almost one. I thought they had enough, Rick. You know what I mean? Like, at what point, you need more now? Thought you had enough. Thought it was just Zach Wilson's fault. I thought you guys were just a quarterback away. You were only a quarterback away from dominating and winning a Super Bowl and taking the league over. Not Zach Wilson's fault they only scored 9 points against the Broncos. Nate Hackett sucks. Aaron Rodgers is old. And people want to anoint these guys like they're the team to beat all the time in the national media, or at least the New York biased media. Now they go to they go to Europe, and they're going and they get the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings just keep winning. What do you think of this game? Jets and Vikings. What's your take on the Jet stuff? And now it sees Rodgers and Salah clearly not on the same page. There's trouble in paradise.
I can only see the headline on Monday morning when Sam Darnold takes down Aaron Rodgers. You think Sam Darnold had this game circled on the calendar? Yeah, Minnesota is the talk of the town. I mean, Sam Darnold, I think is like the modern day Jim Plunkett over here. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, hats off, kudos to the Denver defense, but that was a brutal game to watch. I mean, that was really tough. You can't score more than 10 points against the Denver Broncos. It's going to be a long season in New York. Thank God for the Yankees. Thank God for Rutgers football because the Giants and Jets ain't it.
Hey, by over 6.5, I bought in. You and I talked about them before the year.
Yes.
Like if they get quarterback play, they're getting quarterback play. And here we are, undefeated. Are you? What a great atmosphere the other night against the Washington Huskies. Speaking of which, I don't see if Rutgers can run the ball down their throat. I don't see why Michigan can't, even if it's in Seattle.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Thanks to Rick Saratella for kicking it with us. Some great Heisman Trophy talk. And I'm not going to pat myself on the back right now because there's still a lot of football left to be played in the college football season. But I was in a pretty big minority coming into this season, but telling people that Jalen Milroe was going to be a big star. He's going to be a top 10 draft pick in the NFL. And, I remember just, the criticism of Milroe so much. and the reality and just how good he is right now. But when it comes, so he was 12-1 when I liked him. He's plus 250 now, plus 225, whatever, depending on where you are. But without being stated, as we were just discussing with Rick Saratella, the fact of the matter is, I think Travis Hunter is the most deserving right now. Now, there's still a lot of football left. And it's crazy to say that someone on Colorado isn't going to get their fair recognition because the media oversaturated with Dion and the Dion Love Fest. I mean, hell, he was on 60 Minutes, and he was probably on the cover of Time magazine. But there's a big backlash in the football world about Colorado. And let's be real, a lot of people enjoy seeing Colorado fail, except they're not failing right now. And I don't hear a lot of people really giving them credit. But anybody that's paying attention and watching these games, I don't see how anyone can say, you know what, Travis Hunter isn't the best player in college football right now. The guy's playing on both sides of the ball, like literally every snap. Like, so it's not like even Charles Woodson, my guy, Charles Woodson, Woodson played some wide receiver. He returned kicks, and he was a great defensive back. He didn't play, like Devin Hester didn't play like every damn snap of the football. Like Hunter doesn't like coming out of the game at all. Right? Like he just point blank doesn't like missing a play. He'll miss a play every now and then. And I mean, there was a game the other day. He played all 78 snaps or like 84 snaps, etc. It's really like insane the level that he's playing at. And Colorado as a whole, guys, big time win going into Central Florida and destroying them like that. Loud Esmond's going to join us in a couple of minutes, but I want to get people caught up to date. Minnesota's winning 73-63 right now with under 3 minutes remaining in the WNBA semifinal matchup. And Major League Baseball, San Diego victorious tonight. So we're on to tomorrow. And we got afternoon. You got to love it. Afternoon baseball once again. Detroit at Houston. We've got Brown on the hill here. And they're minus 170 right now against Holton. Total is 7.5. Cam, it's always treacherous for these teams that are up against it. But like we said earlier, I think the Houston Astros have been down this road before. Detroit did have Scooble on the hill here today. I expect Houston to win this game, although I'm not in love with laying 70 cents. You're seeing how these dogs are winning. But I do think the Houston Astros will beat the Detroit Tigers tomorrow. You got Baltimore and KC once again. Hard to buy into Baltimore, guys. They're just gripping the back tightly. They can't score runs. This goes back to last year in the playoffs. And you get these teams that are playing with house money that, nobody expects anything from them. And they just, they show up and they do it all over again. So I don't trust the Orioles tomorrow. I think the Royals are a very live dog at plus 135. It's next to impossible to want to bet an under of a Mets game. So I'm almost like, whatever, dude. The Mets games are all wild, like almost over 7.5 for the Met game. But I like the Mets tomorrow, but that game is basically a pick 'em. And, even though Fried is on the hill here tomorrow, guys, Cam, to me, I think we're going to get a sweep here. I think Atlanta loses. I think Musgrove will beat him tomorrow. San Diego will beat him. And then we're going to have San Diego and the Dodgers. I think the Mets are going to beat the Brewers tomorrow. And then we're going to get the Mets and the Phillies. I think the Royals are going to knock off the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow. And but I do think we're going 3 with Houston and Detroit. Those are my baseball picks for tomorrow.
Gabe, I did one smart thing, get those San Diego futures when they're at its highest value. We talked about how dangerous this team is. And you know what? I'm looking at this Royals game going, Seth Lugo is a better pitcher than Eflin. And we're getting plus 135, 140 with the Royals. I really worry about Baltimore. They're gripping the bats tight, and the Royals can win that game. You bring up good points, though. Excellent point about Houston. They're battle-tested, so they should be able to take Detroit the distance there. But I think the Royals are a live dog as well.
And, San Diego, really dangerous team. They're not, listen, the Dodgers are a tough matchup for anybody, but San Diego are really not scared. I don't think any team is scared of anybody. They're all pro athletes. But San Diego have beaten the Dodgers in the playoffs before. They've had success against them in the regular season before, right? They're neighbors. Like this, it's not a road trip for them. It's going to be a hostile environment.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI, MRI, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. 75-68. The Connecticut Sun are not going away late in this basketball game. The number ended up closing at 4.5. It was 4 most of the day, but there was a late push to the Minnesota Lynx trying to even the series. Best of 5 series here. We've got Minnesota. We already have Minnesota in the first half. We're looking to hit them in a game right now to ice this game. But let's talk some football right now. Maybe a little baseball. We'll see if Loud's got any thoughts on the Major League Baseball playoffs. Loud Esmond in the house with us. Loud, we missed you last week. Good to see you tonight. How you doing tonight?
Good. Sorry, I was in a very remote area of Northern California. I didn't want to try to come on and have a bad connection. You know how that is, guys. So I didn't want to do that to you. So I'm back in home in the Pacific Northwest, and great to be on the show tonight. Your listeners and viewers will be glad that I was not on the show last week because, honestly, I kind of took it on the chin with my picks. As you know, I had been riding the unders in the NFL, and the last week I was on, you guys were questioning whether that was going to be the weekend when the unders were going to get exploded and the overs were going to start covering big time. And I did okay that weekend, but this last weekend, the overs in the NFL just exploded. Even Pittsburgh went over. So
that was frustrating, that one.
Yeah.
You know why, Loud? Because I'm sure you're aware, too. I've been talking about Pittsburgh Steelers, 53-20, their last 73 road games to the under. They were 2-0 to the under already this year. They don't want to play over games. I swear, if Richardson doesn't get hurt, this game stays to the under. Freaking Flacco came in, changes the dynamic, Loud. Anytime it's frustrating when that happens. To me, it was a similar situation with the Dolphins the other night. I didn't go crazy on it, but I took the Dolphins. But I bet against Will Levis. I didn't plan on him getting hurt early in the game and Mason Rudolph coming in. That's betting, though, right? Injuries happen.
Yeah, well, and that's why it's so important, I think, whenever you're doing picks anywhere, to make sure that everybody knows what your rationale is. So if you do take a beating in a game and something like that happens, you can point to it and say, look, I prefaced this on Will Levis was going to turn the ball over twice and in really stupid ways, and he got taken out of the game early, and Mason Rudolph doesn't play as dumb as Will Levis does. So then you can point to that and say that's why.
And he turned the ball over to once when he was on the field, the one drive.
Right.
He did turn it over. And then on the next drive, he got hurt. So it is what it is. All right, Minnesota snaps a 7-game losing streak to the Connecticut Sun. They cover the point spread. So you're in the Pacific Northwest. We talked a lot about the Apple Cup. We've talked about Washington State. I don't think we spoke after the Washington State, San Jose State game. It finally caught up to them. Although that Boise State team's a damn good team, man. I was just talking about Genty, the running back. He's unstoppable. And, Washington State has been a grind, their schedule. Finally caught up against Boise State. But last week, one of my top picks was Rutgers to beat Washington. I knew the Friday night game, the crowd at Piscataway, you knew they were going to be lit up.
I was on it with you.
Good call, yeah. So now the Washington Huskies, they're taking it on the chin here. They lose the Apple Cup. They lose, they go on the road in the Big Ten for the first time they lose. They got the win against Northwestern, okay. Now they go home and they play against a team to beat them in the national championship. Now, both teams, Lau, we know aren't the same, anywhere near the same teams and the same players on the team as in the championship game. But I don't think anyone can really argue Michigan are still closer to what they were than Washington were, right? Michigan are missing a passing attack, but their defense is still elite. Their ground game is like freaking punishing as hell and elite. So they can't really throw the football. I'm surprised that Michigan are getting 3 points in this spot. I guess it's being cooked into the number here about the home field. What's your take on the Huskies being 3-point favorites against Michigan on Saturday night?
Can't say this without losing friends here in the Pacific Northwest, but I don't understand why Washington are favorites in this game. I don't really get it. The Washington Huskies program got cleaned out. Coaches, players, it completely gutted. It was a do-over just about. And, of course, they all went to Alabama, and we see how well Kalen DeBoer's doing in Alabama. So, good for him. But you're right. On the Michigan side, they've got coaching continuity. They've got player continuity. They've got program continuity. That defense is still a monster. They're having a little trouble moving the ball on offense. But Washington isn't great on offense either. And so if you're to weigh the strengths of these teams, I go, okay, coaching and continuity goes to Michigan. Quarterback play, maybe a wash, but I think slight advantage Michigan. Defense advantage Michigan. Offense advantage Michigan. I just don't see where the Huskies are better.
Loud Esmond in the house with us. Rick Saratella was just with me, and Rick called it on the way out. He said, for the record, I do like UNLV against Syracuse this week. Last week, guys, we talked so much about UNLV and Sluka leaving and Campbell and Williams coming in, who was a starting quarterback at Campbell before, and he absolutely lights it up. UNLV come together. They drop 59 on Fresno. It's the most they've ever scored against a conference opponent before. And now they host Syracuse. So and here we go in a non-conference game. And the hype just keeps building in UNLV about, the playoffs. We can make the playoffs. What do you make of this game, Lau, with Syracuse going cross-country into Vegas? Are Vegas good enough that we're going to start laying 6.5 points with them now in football games?
I am so confused by what went on with UNLV, and I just really have to stay away from this one because there are certain games that I just look at and I go, I don't have a good enough feeling about this. So I'm going to pass on that one because both teams, I just don't know well enough. But I'll tell you something I do know I've been doing a little over-under research in college. And here's an interesting one, I think. So you've got multiple teams that have covered the spread in every game. Pittsburgh, BYU, San Jose State, Marshall, East Michigan, Tennessee. Then you have multiple teams that have yet to cover. Kansas, North Carolina State, Air Force, Wisconsin, Kent State, Wake Forest, North Carolina. Pitt, who has not lost against the spread all season, 4-0, is playing North Carolina, who is 0-4 against the spread. And it's Pitt -3. If there was one game I'd love to circle on the college football just because of massive trend lines in each direction, that's the one.
I like that Mac Brown has actually offered to step down, right? He's like, if you guys want me to leave, I'll leave right now. You got Clemson and Florida State this week. Clemson are laying 14.5. Alabama lay 23. But one thing about UNLV I'll say is I think it is a little bit scary. I don't care whether it's college football or pro football. We saw it with the Buffalo Bills. Teams that have scored 40 or more in 2 weeks in a row and gave up 14 or less 2 weeks in a row in the same games were 4-29 against the spread. You know this, Loud. Over the years, teams that hang 45 or 50 in pro football, they never score. We've seen the Saints offense hit the skids after. And this is sort of this is a prime letdown for UNLV. Such an emotional week last week. All week long, national media, oh my God, our quarterback left, we're undefeated, we got a big game. New kid comes in and actually can complete a pass, unlike Sluka, lights it up. They go up and down the field. They have to be a little high on themselves, and it's not like it's hard to find trouble in Vegas this week if you're a Vegas football player. Partying, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? I'm sure they've had a pretty good end. But Odom's such a good coach. You got Syracuse rolling in here. What's your pick, Cam? Syracuse and UNLV on Friday night.
I am kind of with you, Gabe. We were on UNLV, and I kind of have a lean to Syracuse and a letdown spot for the Rebels to cover.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Great time of the year this year. Baseball playoffs, NHL hockey starting in a couple of days. I'll be in a couple of games, but next Tuesday. So they start Friday, Saturday in Europe. The Sabres and Devils are playing a couple of games. And then on Tuesday in North America, we've got, I think there's 4 games on the first night, and then et cetera. The season starts next Tuesday night in its entirety. Loud Esmond in the house. What is Cam Stewart? So we're talking college football right now, and we were talking about the Big Ten, and it's strange. guys, I was watching a Big Ten rivals late. Everyone was like, oh, we're going to miss Pac-12 after dark. It's now Big Ten after dark. And it's crazy, loud. I'm watching hardcore Big Ten rivals, Oregon Ducks, play the UCLA Bruins. And I'm on the West Coast, bro, and the game didn't start till 8 o'clock, like Pacific time. So, like East Coast time, and the game lasted a long time. Big Ten football in the late night hours. And I actually took UCLA in that game. I covered with UCLA, even though they're offensively challenged. They play hard. And the thing with the Ducks is they're such a public team, and they get so much respect from the odds maker. They're just kind of a little bit overpriced in every game. And you see this. They flirted with the number all night, but it was sort of, they were never covering by, you're laying 24 on the road, 24.5. It's hard to like run away with it. And they were always up by 24, 17, 14, 17, 21, etc. So what do you think about the Ducks moving forward here and against the Spartans?
Well, look, everything's pointing against the Spartans in this game. They just got blown out at Ohio State on Saturday. Now they have to travel across the country on a short week to play on a Friday night at Oregon. But Oregon just isn't covering this year. They're just not. They've only really rolled one team, and that was Oregon State in their rivalry game. It's just not been that explosive Oregon offense we're used to seeing. They're starting games slow. They're sloppy. And the defense, it's funny to talk about the defense winning games for Oregon, but really that's kind of how it's been. I like Sparty to stay within 24 points in this one.
They move the ball, but as you stated, they've settled for some field goals. I get the feeling it's sort of a work in progress, right? The Ducks offense as a whole. Listen, I think they're really good. Even coming into the year, though, people had them ranked 3rd and 4th, and I was like, I think it's a little bit ambitious. We're going to find out about this team, right? They play Ohio State in a couple of weeks. This game is in 3 weeks. I think it's coming up around the corner here, and it's in Eugene. So this is an opportunity for Lanning to win a big football game, because that was my thing with them. Yeah, they're really good. They knock on the door and stuff, but they're sort of like the West Coast version of Texas before. Right? Like, they don't win the big games. Like, you lost to Washington not once but twice last year. And talk about being overvalued. They laid 7 points the second time they played them. Oh, but this time it's on a neutral field, and they're going to get them this time. No, they lost again outright. Lanning has had a hard time in these sort of like massive must-win football games. But they're going to win. It just comes down to the points per night. Before we get to the NFL here, Loud, anything else college football catch your eye this week?
Yeah, I got a couple more that I really like. Army is playing Tulsa, and I've got a nephew who's a major in the Army, was a helicopter pilot in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, of course, got to be rooting for Army in general. But Army is, once again, leading the nation in rushing, 371 yards per game. Tulsa's defense isn't great against the run. They're giving up a pretty pedestrian 131 yards per game. Army's only giving up 65.2 yards per game on the ground, and that's top 5 in the NCAA. Tulsa has one of the worst passing defenses. I know you don't think of Army as passing, but they are passing a little bit more. And they're almost 300 yards per game they're allowing passing, whereas Army's defense is still pretty good against the pass. Army's only allowing 10.5 points per game. Tulsa is allowing 34.4 on average. I think this is a mismatch. This is only an 11-point spread, and I think Army wins by a minimum of 20.
You know who a good football team is? Let me just throw in this. I'm looking here. I want to bring this game up to everyone. Are the USC Trojans. And, is it a little high at 8.5? I don't know if Minnesota's going to be able to keep up with them. With the exception of Michigan, and that was a tough spot for USC, and they punched back. They came back. They took the lead. Guys, the USC Trojans in the second half are destroying teams this year, right? Like they dial it up a notch. And I know it seems like, they're flying around the country and stuff, but I don't think Minnesota's going to be able to catch up. I'd prefer if it wasn't 8.5, guys. But the USC Trojans are the real deal. They're a very good football team.
As a Notre Dame fan, I'm very worried about that matchup later in the year, quite honestly. USC nips Notre Dame quite a bit, and Notre Dame's offense has not looked very good. So we'll have to see there. Sam Houston State, not a school that gets a lot of betting action. They have a great offense. They're ranked second in explosive pass rate, 27th in explosive run rate. Their O-line hasn't been great in pass protection, but UTEP, who they're playing, doesn't have a great pass rush. Both teams like to go fast. They're going back to a quarterback, McConnell, who had some success for them last year, almost beat Sam Houston State in a wild comeback where he passed in that game for more than 200 yards. This game, I think Sam Houston State and UTEP is going to go over the 50.5. And then finally in college football, Houston at TCU is another pick of mine. Houston is kind of a disaster right now. I know they played Oklahoma tight, but other than that game, they've lost by 20, 34, 26, and 20 points. And by the way, they haven't scored a touchdown in their last 2 games, Houston. TCU, not a world beater this season, but still a solid program. Their scoring points still, their lowest point total on the season has been 34. This is a little high for me at 15.5. If this line goes down to like 14, I'd be on TCU in this one.
Man, big busy Friday night. We got 4 games: Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State. But after you got Houston, TCU, Michigan State, Oregon, Syracuse, UNLV. Loud Esmond in the house.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
After a very promising start to this season, could it be already done for KC's wide receiver, Rashee Rice, attempting to make a tackle after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception?
We're used to teams saying, we don't know, MRI. Here, Andy Reid's being a little more honest. He's leaving hope alive, but I think they already know, which is really, really too bad.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got a great best of X I want to get to in a couple of minutes, and we're running out of time here, so we'll let everyone know where they can find Loud Esmond. But Loud, we got the NFL rolling along this week. They're going to London. You got the Jets and the Vikings. The Sam Darnold story has been unbelievable. They're not just winning, like they're dominating team. O'Connell's a great coach. I like the Vikings coming into the year over 6.5. And then McCarthy gets hurt, and they had other injuries. Addison's hurt and gets arrested, and thinking, is he going to get suspended? It was like Jefferson's, about money, It was like, wow, is this thing going to implode or not? But here they are. And I just like the irony here of Nate Hackett just, they just lost to Nate Hackett after Sean Payton talked smack about him. Remember? He said, I'd never seen a worse run offense than what it was here before when Payton took over. And then he goes into Nate Hackett's backyard, and Nate Hackett puts up 9 points with Aaron Rodgers. And I just don't see, I guess the best way of putting it, it's like a marriage or a couple. If you got problems, going on vacation isn't going to help. People think it will. It won't help.
No.
Oh, let's go to London, honey. It'll be great. Yeah, it's a good analogy, right? So if you're the Jets, now you're on a plane with Aaron Rodgers for 6 hours, whatever. God knows what he's going to do when he gets to London. It'll be all about him. But I don't know. You got Salah. Everyone knows Salah's an idiot. Everyone knows Hackett's an idiot, Loud. I just, to me, can the Vikings really be 5-0? I would say, I guess so. I don't think the Jets are that good right now.
The Vikings have covered 4 times, and they've been outright dogs twice. And now I look back at them being outright dogs twice, and I'm just like, how did that happen? Because I guess nobody saw this coming, is how did that happen? The irony of Sam Darnold beating Aaron Donald, I'm waiting to see the headlines in New York. I think that'd be hilarious. The Browns go to the Commanders is another game that I like.
I've got one for you right now. Sam Darnold beats Aaron Rodgers, son of Sam. And, what I mean? Like, who's your daddy? You'll have a little mini Aaron Rodgers and, Sam Darnold. And he's the son, like the kid, son of Sam on his shoulder. There's a New York play on words for you.
Well done.
Okay, listen, we got to get out of here, but one more, Loud. What do you got for us?
Browns and Commanders -3. I just don't see how Deshaun Watson is going to outplay Jaden Daniels, which sounds crazy now. Thinking of where Deshaun Watson was and what the rap on Jaden Daniels was coming into the league. And I think the Giants are going to hang with the Seahawks. I've got my reasons for that, but we're short on time. Just leave it at that I'm here in the Pacific Northwest in Seahawk land, and I'm not buying into the Seahawks completely yet.
Well, we had a guest on earlier that liked the Giants. Where can people find your stuff, Loud?
All right, so if you're in Southern California, Friday nights, you can get the Steer the Line radio program, which I'm on in the Inland Empire, Riverside, San Bernardino area. And then, of course, all my stuff is at Winners and Winers, winnersandwiners.com.
Always good, Loud. We'll catch up with you next week.
Take care, Loud.
It was Loud Esmond with us. So, we haven't done a best of X in a little while. There's been so many games going on, but this was just too good. It actually did make me chuckle and laugh out loud when I saw it. So if you guys remember during the Olympics, they had the breakdancing in the Olympics, and the men's breakdancing was badass. And all the women were good too, except the girl from Australia, Ray Gunn. Let's go to the best of X here. So if you remember Ray Gunn, she wasn't dancing. Like, she looked like she was high on Molly, and she was like, she was convulsing on, she was like doing some weird stuff, man. And it wasn't breakdancing, as you see. And she became like a viral sensation. Oh, we ruined her life, and people were mean to her on social media and stuff. Now she's sort of trying to make money off it, or like cashing in, at least by her fame in a weird way. But you've made it when you've become a Halloween decoration. And this one is just the best one ever. If we can get the, here we go. Now, there's people have, here's Ray Gunn, the Ray Gunn outfit and a skeleton. It's just amazing. So far, best Halloween decoration so far, Ray Gunn. And I got to tell you what, like I said, you're famous when people, that's just too good. The Ray Gunn Halloween. So Halloween is around the corner. It's coming up. Well, I'm sure we'll have more funny best of X tweets coming up as well. For all my baseball picks, I gave them earlier. Follow me on Twitter X @SportsRage. Other than that, you're on your own later.